Support Roland Martin Unfiltered. Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Y'all know what time it is.
Girl, no charcoal girls are allowed.
I'm white. I got you, girl.
Illegally selling water without a permit
on my property.
Whoa! Hey!
You don't live here.
I'm uncomfortable.
All right, folks. This ignorant-ass white woman lost her mind in Montgomery County, Maryland. She was that close to getting her ass whooped. Rotate.
White people are crazy as fuck. You see her? Do y'all see her? Do y'all really see her? Like, so if I beat her ass, then what? If I knock her ass out, you have 3 seconds to get out of my way. I'm gonna beat the shit out of you.
Move out of the way.
1.
Anna, please!
Tell her to move. I'm gonna whoop your grandmother's ass. 2. Can you please move, please?
Anna, please!
Can you move, ma'am?
No, I'm not. I'm not letting you in this building. Who are you talking to on that phone? Is it a resident of this building? Is it a resident of this building?
Here's an old ass woman, guys. Tell your Nana to get her ass out of the way. Nana, please. Fuck out of the way, dumb bitch. Fuck you, bitch.
You're gonna go in and rob somebody?
Do you hear her? You need to get your hair done. Let me tell you what. This bitch is crazy as fuck. This bitch right here. She just stood in the middle and held me. Then she said, I'm gonna go rob somebody. You racist, dirty, nasty ass fuck.
Okay. Here's what I'm still she was preventing her from leaving.
That's false imprisonment.
I'm telling y'all. Luckily, that sister was holding the phone.
I think, Roland, this might be the closest you've come in this beautiful segment you do all the time. Was that the closest you've come in the ones you've shown to somebody getting their ass beat?
No, that actually happened. What happened was a white homeless dude rolled up on a brother who worked at FedEx in Seattle and accosted the brother. The brother knocked his ass out, and the white boy died.
Oh.
No, he had some condition or whatever, but the brother knocked his ass out cold. Damn. He died. Eugene, I'm telling you, I remember it. I keep telling it. They ain't press charges against him because he was like, he said self-defense. But this white woman is blocking the sister from leaving a building where she lives.
You should have knocked her out. I'm at the point, knock them out. You look, it went beyond just words, right? There's actual physical contact there. I'm no lawyer, but I could get to play one on this show on occasion. So that looks like it would be assault in Maryland, probably in the 2nd degree. And so I think you probably there's no self-defense law in Maryland, but I think there's a good argument that could be made that hey, that was my only way out.
Julian, when you had the white boy who worked at YouTube or Google, one of them, and remember his kid was like, Daddy,
Yeah.
let's go. Same thing. The grandchild was like, come on. And that's what she's like, you better listen to your grandchild.
Yeah.
I mean, the little children are seeing, hey, your ass racist, let them go.
Well, that's the beauty of this is that she's a racist, you know what, but her grandchild gets it. So as he grows up, perhaps he'll keep that consciousness. But, you know, if I was I'm too old. I was going to say if I was that sister, I'd have beat her butt too. But
no, your ass, you would have done that. Don't even try to front him out too old. You know damn well you would have done that. You know damn well. Greg, I'm telling you, I keep telling people, yo, black people are not going to continue to be, I'm going to pray for you and be nice and be calm. I'm telling you, I'm warning y'all, somebody's white gonna get killed.
Oh, no question.
They're gonna get their ass whooped, beat down viciously, and people gonna be saying, why'd you have to do that? Because we have done this now, I swear, 20, 30 times.
That's crazy. No, I mean, and for viewers around the country and around the world who will be watching this, Montgomery County, that's really D.C. I mean, that's Silver Spring, Maryland. I'm trying to figure out whether that, because, you know, that's right across the D.C. line. We could throw a rock and hit it from here.
It's Ward 9.
No question, it really is. So, no, but the point you've been raising over and over again, Roland, in this space, yeah, they're going to try to write one in a minute. And that girl was smiling the whole time, the young sister. She was in other words, you could tell that she had managed it. But if she had turned around and that grandbaby was trying to save her Nana, please.
I'm telling y'all, y'all need to tell these white folks, stop detaining black people, stop blocking people from leaving their own damn building.
That's right.
Stop asking them who they visiting. Stop asking them, do you live here, taking the trash out? Well, we got the one we're gonna show you tomorrow is the white woman who jammed up a brother delivering packages. I'm telling y'all,
he was UPS or something?
Don't matter.
In a uniform.
No.
OMG.
No.
Delivering packages.
Come on, man.
And backed off when the white UPS guy said, no, he worked with me. I'm trying to tell y'all, I am not
She would never get another
I am
package
not
again.
condoning it, but I'm trying to tell y'all, black people are not going to play this.
No.
And I'm just warning y'all right now. So when it happens, y'all going to say, Roland, you called it. All right, folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment. Fam, it's holiday season. This is when you think about spending time with your family and friends. This is also when you count your blessings and support those less fortunate. This year, become a holiday hero and change someone's life forever. Right now, hundreds of thousands of Americans are sitting in jail without being convicted of a crime. Why? Because they can't pay their bail. Think about it. If you are arrested for any minor offense and you go to jail, if you don't have the money, you got to stay there until a court date is scheduled. That could be weeks, that could be days, weeks, or even months. Some black folks have were there for years. Simply put, America's bail system is broken for people of color. Freedom should be free, folks. That's why the Ebony Foundation is partnered with the Bail Project and is sponsoring the Home by the Holiday campaign. The Bail Project has helped bail out thousands of people over the years, and with your help, they plan to bail out 1,000 people by New Year's Day. What they want you to do is make a donation anywhere from $25, $50 to $50 or more to do so. Now, of course, people of color represents anywhere from 50 to 90% of the jail population across the country. Now, check this out. Without bail, nearly 90% of those charged with misdemeanors plead guilty because they're trying to get out. However, when bail is paid, less than 2% receive a jail sentence. Sometimes justice just needs us. If you want to donate, folks, and help the Ebony Foundation, go to homebytheholiday.com. That's homebytheholiday.com. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video. All right, folks, our top story, bitch-ass George Zimmerman. Every time I talk about him, that's what I will call him, a man who needs to go straight to hell. Of course, he was acquitted in the shooting death of Trayvon Martin in 2012. He now is suing the family of Trayvon Martin, Florida prosecutors, and others involved in the case he claims rested on false evidence. Yeah, $100 million. Reach out to attorney Ben Crump for an interview, but they're not doing any media right now. He did have released this statement. I have every confidence that this unfounded and reckless lawsuit will be revealed for what it is, another failed attempt to defend the indefensible and a shameless attempt to profit off the lives and grief of others. This plaintiff continues to display a callous disregard for everyone but himself, re-victimizing individuals whose lives were shattered by his own misguided actions. He would have us believe that he is the innocent victim of a deep conspiracy, despite the complete lack of any credible evidence to support his outlandish claims. This tale defies all logic, and it's time to close the door on those baseless imaginings. Joining me right now is Amisha Cross, political commentator and Democratic strategist, also Robert Patillo, civil rights attorney, and Kelly Bethea, communications strategist. Robert, I'll go to you as a lawyer. What this punk ass trying to do?
What he's doing is promoting a new documentary. There's a new documentary film from right-wing media called The Trayvon Hoax. They scheduled this lawsuit to be filed on the same day they were supposed to premiere in Florida, in the same county where the film was set to premiere. So this was just meant to drum up publicity for that. It's a completely frivolous suit. He names Ben Crump as a defendant, the Martin family, the prosecutor, the state's attorneys. I read through the suit in the car over here. There is no legal or factual grounds for it. What I'm hoping is that the Martin family and everybody involved will countersue him on this for damages, for attorney's fees. He hasn't gotten the message yet that he's not above the law. He's gotten away with so many things. He believes that he can do whatever he wants whenever he wants to. And there's always going to be a strong subset of white supremacists and conservative conspiracy theorists who will be there to financially support him. I believe he sold the gun that he killed Trayvon Martin with at auction. He has gone on book tours, book signings, speaking engagements to people who completely support these sorts of extremists. And because of that, that just feeds into this with this new documentary, The Trayvon Hoax, that he has us talking about, which is his entire goal, to drum up publicity for it.
Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about his punk ass. Amisha, his attorney said that he faces daily threats and suffers from PTSD. Good. I don't give a damn.
Absolutely. I mean, and we also have to look into Larry Klayman, who's a very interesting political figure and attorney in and of himself. He chased after, the Clinton impeachment. He was the attorney. He's going through a lot with the Trump administration now. He's a close friend of theirs. He is somebody who likes to chase conspiracy theories. He's also somebody who's known to support white supremacists and others who have committed these types of crimes before. I think that in this case, you see a George Zimmerman who obviously has no remorse for anything he did. I don't think that time will ever come for him. On top of that, he continues to make himself or pretend like he's a victim, and he's in want for money at this point. So he's trying to do whatever he can to sell the last vestige that he possibly can get to make sure that he remains viable over the next 10, 15 years.
Kelly, obviously, it's a trash-ass lawsuit. He's a trash attorney. He's trash. And to file this against, again, not only the lawyer, but the family of Trayvon Martin shows how pathetic of an individual he is.
It's absolutely pathetic. And it's just, I can only imagine what his Trayvon Martin's mother is going through at this time. My understanding is that she's running for office.
County commissioner.
Yeah, in Miami-Dade County. And this is the last thing she needs, especially from Zimmerman himself. Like my colleagues have just said, this is the same man who, basically admitted to killing her son, but just by way of racism in Florida was acquitted. And then to top it off, the selling of the gun, the documentary, and the list goes on. And he was even, he was arrested again for something completely unrelated. Again, the charges just didn't stick. And it's just something that is just so infuriating to me. And I can only imagine what Martin's mother is going through. Because if there's one thing that Zimmerman has, it's the caucasity to pull something like this off. It's disgusting.
Consistently proven. I mean, this is a guy who, after Trayvon, he went out and he has charges of beating women. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, he has never really faced any type of true criminality, like being incarcerated at all for any of these things. Nothing. And it's a very interesting system that allows for this person to continually abuse the system and yet seem to somehow reap benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what he is. He is a shameful and pathetic individual, but we all knew that anyway. And so that's what's going on. So great comment there from Ben Crump. Folks, go to my iPad, please. As Kelly mentioned, Sabrina Fulton, she is running for county commissioner. Brittany Pagnetti sent this out. She says George Zimmerman is trending for being an audaciously racist fool, but Trayvon Martin's mom, Sabrina Fulton, is running for county commissioner in Miami. Let's redirect energy to her and fill her coffers with donations and volunteers. Hashtag I'm with Sabrina. And of course, her website is sabrinafulton.com. It's sabrinafulton.com. All right, folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, as the marijuana momentum continues, the folks at marijuanastock.org have already reached more than half of their funding goal for the hemp CBD investment. That's right. If you want to take advantage of this great opportunity, you need to do it now because it won't last much longer. Now, if you don't know, I'm talking about the hemp plant, the good cousin to marijuana with a much higher concentration of CBD, which means hemp gives you all the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Some of y'all like, damn, I want the high part. Also, if you don't know, hemp farming is now legal in the United States, creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. It's an investment opportunity that you could participate in, and the folks at 420 Real Estate want to help you. Their business model is real simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and leases it to licensed, high-paying tenants. That's right, they are hemp CBD landlords. You can get in on the action. As hemp continues to change the economic landscape, 420 Real Estate is allowing you to chase the American dream. Now, what you can do is you can invest in their crowdfunding campaign for as little as $200. That's right, $200 up to $10,000. Now, you got to do it now before the fund closes. To invest, go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org. Get in the game and get in the game now. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video. All right, folks, so Nikki Haley, the former governor of South Carolina and Trump's UN ambassador, sat down for an interview with Glenn Beck on his network, The Blaze. And what came up in that interview was the issue of the Confederate flag coming down in South Carolina. Here's what she actually said.
South Carolina fell to her knees when this happened. This is one of the oldest African-American churches. These 12 people were amazing people. They loved their church. They loved their family. They loved their community. And here is this guy that comes out with his manifesto holding the Confederate flag and had just hijacked everything that people thought of. And we don't have hateful people in South Carolina. There's always the small minority that's always going to be there. But, you know, people saw it as service and sacrifice and heritage. But once he did that, there was no way to overcome it. And the national media came in droves. They wanted to define what happened. They wanted to make this about racism. They wanted to make it about gun control. They wanted to make it about death penalty. And I really pushed off the national media and said there will be a time and place where we talk about this, but it is not now. We're going to get through the funerals. We're going to respect them. And then we will have that conversation. And we had a really tough few weeks of debate, but we didn't have riots. We had vigils. We didn't have protests. We had hugs. And the people of South Carolina stepped up and showed the world what it looks like to show grace and strength in the eyes of tragedy.
So all of these conservatives are now defending Nikki Haley, saying that Media Matters got this thing wrong, that she wasn't praising the flag herself, and that this is what happens. I mean, so in fact, Nikki Haley, she tweeted 3 hours ago, 2015 was a painful time for our state. The pain was and is still real. Below was my call for the removal of the Confederate flag, and I stand by it. I continue to be proud of the people of South Carolina and how we turned the hate of a killer into the love for each other. It was a story that she retweeted from the New York Times. Folks, do y'all have a portion of Nikki Haley's speech in 2015 where she talked about it? If so, can y'all go ahead and play it?
For many people in our state, the flag stands for traditions that are noble. Traditions of history, of heritage, and of ancestry. The hate-filled murderer who massacred our brothers and sisters in Charleston has a sick and twisted view of the flag. In no way does he reflect the people in our state who respect and in many ways revere it. Those South Carolinians view the flag as a symbol of respect, integrity, and duty. They also see it as a memorial, a way to honor ancestors who came to the service of their state during time of conflict. That is not hate, nor is it racism.
So Nikki Haley stood there in 2015 and said that is not hate, that is racism. Really? Why did South Carolina secede from the Union? No, seriously. Nikki, this is the real issue that we're dealing here, and that's why, folks, I'm going to do this deconstruction. Because I need you to understand what is going on here. Nikki Haley is a willing participant in the redefining of the Confederate flag and what it means. You heard her say there, many people. She didn't say some. In fact, let me break this down. In the Glenn Beck interview, she talked about how a small portion of people in South Carolina are racist. In 2015, she said many people revere the flag out of respect because it was about honor. Did y'all hear that? Many revere the flag, respect and honor. Oh, but a small portion is defined by race. Here's the problem with that. That doesn't actually line up with history. South Carolina seceded from the Union because of slavery. All you have to do, she talked about, this is what happens when folk like Nikki Haley don't like the fact that we can break down what she says. All of her people are running to her aid. People should be going after all these journalists who misinterpreted what she said. No, not one time did Nikki Haley say, there are people in my state who revere the flag because they see it as honor and respect, but they are wrong. Not one time did she say that. In fact, she has defended that. Folks, South Carolina, in their manifesto, in the manifesto that they wrote, made it perfectly clear that they were seceding from the state, from the Union, because of slavery. Now, here's what Nikki Haley also never said, and what her supporters will not say, is this. General Lee, the person who they revere in these statues and monuments, told his troops to furl the rebel flag and store it in your attics. What Nikki Haley will not say is that for more than 2 generations after the Civil War, for the most part, the Confederate flag was not seen in America. Now, there are images of a black man being lynched, made forced to kiss a Confederate flag before he was lynched in 1920. Some of the historians on Twitter have been discussing that today. But it wasn't until 1948 when the Confederate flag came out as a national symbol. You might ask, well, Roland, what happened in 1948? In 1948, there was a meeting in Mississippi where the Southern Manifesto was created. Nikki Haley referenced a manifesto written by Dylann Roof that was racist. Yet it was a Southern Manifesto written in 1948 because the National Democratic Party had dared to include civil rights in their plank. Now, let me unpack this. Republicans, yes, it is factually correct that the Republican Party historically, from Lincoln up until that period, were in support of civil rights. But there was a Republican President, Herbert Hoover, who aligned with, called the Lily White movement, who partnered with Southern Dixiecrats and the KKK to oppose black people. Those are historical facts. If you want to go research it, knock yourself out, but I got receipts. So in 1948, the Southern Manifesto is written. Who was the leader of that 1948 convention in Mississippi where the Southern Manifesto was written? South Carolina Senator Strom Thurmond, who was the man who set the record for filibustering a bill when he filibustered for more than 24 hours of the 1957 Civil Rights Act. South Carolina Senator Strom Thurmond. Now, Nikki Haley talked about it, how people saw it in terms sort of reverence. Do you know that South Carolina raised that flag over its state capitol in 1961 in celebration of the 100th anniversary of the Civil War? Uh-oh, but that's not what they called it. Do you know what they called it? They didn't call it the 100th anniversary of the Civil War. In fact, they purposely called it, because first of all, President Eisenhower commissioned a National Civil War Centennial, okay? I'm reading a quote, and this is from a gentleman named Daniel Hollis of South Carolina. Daniel Hollis was appointed to the state commission that was created, y'all gonna love this one, for the observers of the 100th anniversary of the war between the states. That's what they called it. Daniel Hollis, PhD in American history from Columbia University, taught for 36 years at the University of South Carolina in their history department. His specialty, Southern history and the Civil War. Daniel Hollis said this in this piece that was written several years ago. I'm the only one on the commission left alive. I tried to get them to call it the Civil War Centennial, but they insisted on calling it the Confederate War Centennial. Quote, I was the only Civil War historian. There were 3 UDC girls on it, and John May was the chairman. May was a state representative from Aiken. He called himself Mr. Confederacy and wore a Confederate uniform to our meetings. I called May an inveterate Confederate. They would argue that the war wasn't fought over slavery but states' rights. That's ridiculous. Without the slavery issue, South Carolina would not have seceded. You think they would have gotten angry enough about tariffs to start shooting? Quote, the ruling elite that ran this state all owned slaves. They denied the war was over slavery, insisting that it was over states' rights. But it was over the states' rights to own slaves and enforce white supremacy. That's the reason the South Carolina flag was raised in 1961 to celebrate this, and it remained there. So Nikki Haley says that there are people who see this as a symbol of honor and respect and heritage. Why doesn't Nikki Haley have the guts to tell those people they were wrong? Because she wanted their votes, and she still wants their votes. That's what the real deal here is. Now, let me also explain a few things that she broke down to Glenn Beck. Could y'all go ahead and cue that up? And when I tell you to stop it, please stop it. So once it's ready, hit play.
South Carolina fell to her knees when this happened. This is one of the oldest African American churches. These 12 people were amazing people. They loved their church. They loved their family. They loved their community. And here is this guy that comes out with his manifesto holding the Confederate flag and had just hijacked everything that people thought of. And we don't have hateful people in South Carolina. There's always the small minority that's always going to be there.
Stop. She said Dylan Roof just hijacked it. Folks, would y'all like to see photos of white folks waving the Confederate flag against folks in the civil rights movement? Would y'all like to see people in South Carolina doing that? Do y'all know that the governor of South Carolina said he was not going to allow black folks to go to state universities? Do you know that South Carolina said if they would shut down the entire education system in that state after Brown versus Board of Education? Do you know what the folks were doing? Waving the Confederate flag. There is a direct correlation between white hate and the Confederate flag. Those two have gone together. White folks in South Carolina and Alabama and Mississippi, when they were protesting civil rights and protesting black folks demanding their human rights, they were not waving the American flag. They were waving the Confederate flag. So ask yourself this question. What made Dylan Roof write a manifesto, a white supremacist manifesto, and embrace the Confederate flag? It's because that's what white supremacists have been doing for the last 100 years. Surely Nikki Haley has actually read a book. Surely Nikki Haley has done that. But guess what? Her own son told her. Abby Phillips, a correspondent for CNN, tweeted this today. Quote, when I talked to Haley in 2015, she was fully aware that many people in South Carolina associated the flag with hate long before Dylann Roof. She even told me that her son had raised the issue to her before. So I don't understand why she wouldn't even bother to mention that in this interview. Press play.
There, but people saw it as service and sacrifice and heritage. But once he did that, there was no way to overcome it. And the national media came in droves. They wanted to define what happened. They wanted to make this about racism. They wanted to make it about gun control. They wanted to make it about death penalty. And right, I really put...
Stop right there. The national media wanted to make this about race. No, the national media didn't want to make it about race, Nikki Haley. Dylann Roof made it about race when he purposely walked into a black church at a Bible study after folks had prayed for him and with him and pulled a gun out and killed 9 black people. He pointed a gun at one of the black survivors and allowed her to leave so she could tell everybody what happened. Everybody also, national media did not make the Confederate flag about hate. White folks did. More than 100 years. So don't play this game that, oh, it was the media who came in and made this all about race. Press play.
Off the national media and said there will be a time and place where we talk about this, but it is not now. We're going to get through the funerals. We're going to respect them, and then we will have that conversation. And we had a really tough few weeks of debate, but we didn't have riots. We had vigils. We didn't have protests. We had hugs. And the people of South Carolina stepped up and showed the world.
Stop right there. First of all, Nikki Haley, who the hell you think you fooling? She said, oh, we didn't have riots. We didn't have protests. We had hugs. I recall Bree Newsom climbing that state capitol and bringing that damn flag down. That was a protest. Nikki Haley also lied because what she did not say to Glenn Beck was that the NAACP has long had a protest against the state of South Carolina, not allowing events to be held there. Oh, did y'all also know why the NCAA did not hold any of its tournaments in South Carolina? Because of the NAACP's protests, because that flag was flying above the state capitol. Nikki Haley lied. There had been years of protests against that flag in South Carolina. There had been years of people standing up against that flag. So to say that, oh, in the aftermath of this, oh, we had some difficult conversations and there were no protests, there were hugs. No, Nikki, that's a lie. What Nikki Haley wants is somehow credit for bringing the flag down. I'm not giving you credit. The credit for the flag, Confederate flag coming down in South Carolina goes to the 9 black people who spilled their blood in order for that to happen. Just like I give credit to Medgar Evers and his blood being spilled, and the 4 girls in Birmingham for us getting the '64 Civil Rights Act, and for Jimmy Lee Jackson having to shed his blood for the '65 Civil Rights Act, and all the black folks across the country who shed blood, who were killed in race riots across America. That's what resulted in the 1968 Fair Housing Act. In fact, the Fair Housing Act had been debated and blocked, and it was filibustered by Republicans for more than 2 years. And Dr. King was killed on April 4th, 1968 in Memphis. And the next day, President Lyndon Baines Johnson sent a letter to the House saying the way to honor Dr. King's death is to pass the very bill that he died fighting for, and that was the Fair Housing Act, and that bill would sign into law just 9 days later. So, Nikki, explain to me this here. Black people died for the Civil Rights Act. Black folks died for the Voting Rights Act. Black folks died for the Fair Housing Act. Black folks had to be killed for you to have the courage to remove the Confederate flag, and you somehow want some sympathy by tweeting and having your Republican cohorts say that the media is wrong because we are harming you because of what you actually said to Glenn Beck about the Confederate flag. Nikki Haley, you're lying. And as an Indian American woman, you should understand racism when it came to Indian and Pakistan and their issues over the years. As an Indian American woman who we know can read, how do you deny the reality of real history? No, Nikki Haley, you are a political opportunist. You wanted the votes of those white racists in South Carolina. You wanted the votes of those people so they could support you, and that's why you supported the Confederate flag, and that's why you bought into the notion that the Confederate flag is all about honor and sacrifice. So now don't try to have your people tweet, no, Nikki wasn't saying that's how she felt. She said that's how they felt. No, you defended that flag for years. And it only came down because 9 black people were killed by a racist Dylann Roof in a black church. You cannot attempt explain your way out of this. And what you said in that interview with Glenn Beck is a lie. You lied on the media. You lied about this whole issue with the flag. You lied about the protest, because we got receipts. And you can sit here and try all day to back it up, but you are flat out wrong. And this is why we will always call you out. And Dr. Carter, I don't know who these people think they are, but there's a reason they didn't want slaves to learn how to read. And the reason they didn't want black folks to learn how to read, because we knew that once we begin to read, we could see what the truth is. And that's what the deal here. Nikki Haley ain't fooling none of us. We know the real history of that Confederate flag. The real reason why that flag came back into American society. The real reason why that flag was raised. The real reason why it stayed up. And the real reason why it came down. It was because 9 black people got killed by a racist. And yes, folks like Nikki Haley could no longer defend that flag because Dylann Roof used it for the same purpose white folks did since 1948, to combat black people.
There was a November 2017 article in Vanity Fair I read a couple of years ago that really explains how ignorant Trump and his people are. To prepare for the go to my iPad, please. To prepare for the transition after the 2016 election, the USDA staff had created elaborate briefings for the incoming Trump administration. The written material alone came with 2,300 pages in 13 volumes. A lot of people who work in the Department of Agriculture grew up on or around farms. They like to think of the Department of Agriculture as a nice, down-to-earth bureaucracy. They consider themselves more bipartisan, less ideological than people at the other federal agencies. Quote, "Our plan was to be as hospitable as possible," said one of the transition planners. "We made sure the office space was gorgeous. To make the Trump people feel at home, the USDA people has set aside the nicest rooms on the top floor of the nicest building with the nicest view of the National Mall. They had fished out of storage the most beautiful photographs from the USDA's impressive collection and hung them on the walls. They had brought in computers and office supplies and organized a bunch of new workstations. When they heard that Joel Leftwich, the guy Trump wanted to lead his USDA transition team, had been a lobbyist for PepsiCo, they brought in a mini fridge stocked with Pepsis. That was just the way they were at the USDA. They didn't think, how the fuck can people paid to push sugary drinks on American kids be let anywhere near the federal department with the most influence on what American kids eat. Instead, they thought, I hear he's a nice guy. No one showed up that first day after the election or the next. This was strange. The day after he was elected, Obama had sent his people into the USDA, as had Bush. At the end of the second day, the folks at the Department of Agriculture called the White House to ask what was going on. The White House said they'll be here Monday. On Monday morning, they worked themselves up all over again into a welcoming spirit. Again, no one showed. Not that entire week, on November 22nd, Leftwich made a cameo appearance for about an hour. Quote, "We had thought rural America is who got Trump elected, so he'll have to make us a priority." But then nothing happened. The USDA did not respond to questions from Vanity Fair. Wow. They didn't give a damn about these people, and this was the first month of his presidency.
Right. I mean, first of all, appointing someone to that position is all about like a friend who needed a job that you were expecting. You know, people have expectations if I helped you out. But I think the important thing here is that when we think about rural America, and especially poor white folks in this country have always voted against their economic interests, right? Because of race. Right? Racism has been the driving force. They don't care that, you know, we're not getting our food stamps, we're not getting health care. We actually don't want to be in the same boat with y'all.
No health care, no dental care, bad education, no food. But then we ain't with y'all.
And guess what? They're going, it doesn't matter if this all happens, they're going to vote for him again. Because it's like, it is the thing of, I don't want to be with you all, and part of what's happening with you all, I don't want to be with black folks, right? And our narrative around poor people in this country is a black narrative, right? White folks and the media has trumped, I hate to say that word, has come up with this story around poor people being black. Not true, mostly white, right? But they, again, are always going to vote against their interests, their economic interests, because they would instead rather be with white folks. And also with Trump, like, oh, maybe I can be like him. You know, I can be like him. He's had failed businesses. I've had failed businesses. He's got no money, but he's, you know, and he's ignorant. And he became president anyway. So there's a little bit of, I see him in me, and I aspire to be that instead of being with black folks.
Greg, well, this is why I have said, Reverend Barber talked about this all the time as well, this is why Democrats have to, one, stop being scared of broke-ass white people, and go to broke-ass white people and say, yo ass broke.
That's right.
Your schools are broke, you broke, you ain't got no food. Guess what? LBJ launched the war on poverty to some broke-ass white people in West Virginia. He was not in Mississippi Delta. Democrats have got to be willing. Look, I told Obama to his face, man, stop going to damn suburban areas touting the Affordable Care Act. Go to the brokest, sickest part of Mississippi and Alabama and say, I passed this damn law for y'all. Yes. To me, that's where Democrats, if you want to sit here and hit Trump, go to those places. Go, those coal miners who Mitch McConnell wouldn't meet with. Right. Put them on, if you Joe Biden, put them at a table with you and tell the media, come on in. Bring in, do the same thing to these broke white folks. All the broke white folks who say, oh, he's going to help us with opioids, do the exact same thing. They have to be willing to tell them to their face, yo ass broke.
That's right.
I just want to let you know that.
Roland, I think this would very easily fit into another Roland Breaks Down, except this time Roland breaks down electoral strategies. And that is, again, why people need to donate to Roland Martin Unfiltered, because this is the only place on a daily basis where we're not just breaking down race issues. This is the elevated conversation about something that may ultimately be unsolvable.
And the cable networks ain't discussing it.
Well, they can't discuss it because the same people on cable networks are the ones behind this BS. I mean, that's why I really do appreciate Director Brown and you all's report and the We Vote, We Count report, because you're getting at the heart of this question. As far as I'm concerned, you know, and you know, at my age, I'm just old enough to have worked on Jesse Jackson's first campaign in '84, where he went to Appalachia, where he went to the West. This is why Bernie Sanders stand up. You know, these young people now, Bernie Sanders, no.
It's been done before.
Exactly, many times before. What you say, this is Ron Walters laying this electoral strategy out in the 70s. This is the Congressional Black Caucus from the late 60s. We were just talking about Mervyn Donnelly and before. I mean, this is the whole point. But as far as I'm concerned, and then beginning to read the report, and I can't wait to hear you talk about this, because this is a valiant effort to try to persuade these people to embrace our common humanity. But quite frankly, there is no we in this country. There has never been a we in this country. And I don't even put this on Trump, because when you look at the map of people who will be affected by these changes, and there are 3 changes, by the way. The third of those changes is the ones that say, and in fact, this here says, the rule would also prevent households with more than 25 $2,250 in assets or $3,500 for a household with a disabled adult from receiving food stamps. That's the one that would throw 1 million children off of reduced or free lunch in the schools. These people, this hasn't been just driven by race hate, because this is these poor whites. You're absolutely right. When you look at the map of the people who are going to be affected, it is surgical. The Northeast states, California with 12% of the homeless population, a couple of states in the South, Georgia being one, but you see the least affected states are those Midwestern states. Although people will be affected, clearly this is electoral politics.
Oh, look,
this is a plutocracy that is trying to break the back of the citizens of this country and drain all the wealth of, like you said, $1.9 trillion tax cut, $1.6 trillion in student debt. Heard Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on Capitol Hill today, assailing this Steve Mnuchin, another criminal who got away with all kind of stuff out there in California. They are draining the public coffers, and they don't give, not only don't they give a damn about anybody in this country, they are depending on the race hate that you're talking about to allow them to get away with this.
And don't forget, the tax cut specifically targeted blue states.
That's right.
Yep.
This does too.
And they were public.
That's exactly right.
It hit hit the blue states.
That's why all Republicans lost in California.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because the people like, oh, y'all asses went along with this?
But watch this, Roland. They didn't, let me just very quick, Gina. When you see, they couldn't get this through in the Congress because the farm state representatives with the liberals always said no. So what did this?
I mean, we had Janice Mathis on here discussing it when it was going through the hearing.
Y'all got to support this place. It's the only place talking about this. So what did this man, who is clogging his veins every day with fast food, do? He makes an executive order so that people who can't get 20 hours a week working fast food in these places, so they can't qualify for food stamps, can't get their food stamps.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
You know, the other thing is that Republicans are always talking about fiscal responsibility. They're always talking about balancing the budget. 45 has essentially knocked the budget all out of whack, not only for this year, but it's a 10-year trajectory. So even if a good Democrat gets in, the first thing they're going to have to do is tackle the issue of debt. And that means that their hands are going to be tied based on some of the legislation that's passed about how much increase the Pentagon and war should get, based on some of the other things that they've done. So he has really tied the hands of the next administration and the one after that.
And they don't give a damn. I mean, let's just be real clear. They don't care. Eugene, again, this, to me, is one of those issues where Democrats got to be real specific. I'm talking about if you're running for president, if you are Biden, Buttigieg, Warren, Klobuchar, Booker, and other 15 people still hanging around, Castro, they have to be specific, Eugene, with the language. That Sanders, I'm telling y'all, I told Bernie Sanders to his face in a meeting in his office a year ago, just so let me be real clear, all you punk asses out there who on YouTube talking about who I'm supporting, no, I check everybody. Sanders to his face. I talked to Buttigieg 3 times on the phone, twice in the past 2 months. Talked to Harris, text Booker. Don't act like I ain't there. I told Bernie Sanders, you have got to go talk to broke-ass white people and say, white people. Don't say working class. You got to say white people. Because, Eugene, that's the only way to slap them in the face to go, when I ain't talking black, Latino, I'm talking to broke white people. That, to me, should be a clear Democratic strategy for 2020.
I agree, right? Especially if the Democrat strategy is going to be, okay, hey, look, we got to target Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, and probably not throwing Georgia and Arizona in there as well. You know, if you're quote-unquote swing voter that you're targeting are broke white people, or as politically correctly stated, working class white people, you got to go in there bluntly and bluntly have the conversation. And if you're unwilling to, or if a candidate is unwilling to, I think you need to check the credibility of the candidate. You know, campaigning 101 is being able to have the conversations, the blunt conversations with voters to earn their vote.
But my point is this here. Don't come talk to black people and feel comfortable saying black. But you don't want to go in front of white people, Judith, and say white. And I mean, somebody has to say to white voters,
Right.
Because if you stand in front of women and say women voters, and they stand in front of gay folks and say LGBTQ, if you stand in front of black people and say black, Latino, damn it, stand in front of white folks and say, listen up, white voters. See, to me, you got to be explicit, because broke white people have not been called out, and they've danced around, working class, real America, all those terms.
But that's because they want to make them different, right? They, again, it's like, don't want to be in the same pool with y'all, so we're working class, y'all poor black folks.
That's
So
right.
again, this is the divisive politics that have always existed in this country. And while I think, yes, the Democratic Party needs to go out there and do that, I also want to say that this wouldn't be the first time that it has been tried, and that it may fail again, right? And
but here's the piece. Even if it fails, the fact that you do it, here's what may happen. You actually might wake up some broke white folks.
Oh, that's true.
But the point is, if you never say it, they just walking around like, we good. You're like, no, you're not.
That's what Reverend Jackson did.
Right.
He went to, and
that's what the Poor People's Campaign is.
Exactly.
Look, they've gone to Kansas, Idaho, the hills of North Carolina, West Virginia, Kansas, Mississippi, and they have been very explicit. They've been saying, broke white people.
Well, you know, Reverend Barber.
We all broke.
Is a genius in terms of how he's constructed the New Poor People's Campaign, in terms of his co-chair, Liz Theo Harris, a white woman minister. I mean, he basically is fighting for the soul of America. So if you say there's no us.
Well, yeah, there's no us, and America has no soul.
But he is fighting for.
Well, no, he's trying to create a soul for America. And here's something I think we haven't stated enough in this. And this goes back to the 19th century. You think about the Know Nothing Party, the nativist movements in the 1920s and 30s. There is a fetishization of ignorance in this country. So when we talk about the common people, there's this elevation of this idea that I'm dumb, I'm stupid, I'm proud. And when you fuse, no, seriously. And so, so in other words, I'm thinking, because as you were talking, I'm thinking, which of these candidates in the Democratic primary has really began to gesture toward that? Immediately I thought of Elizabeth Warren. Because Warren talks about, you know, her mama had to put the dress on, go get a job, and her daddy had the heart attack, and then she had a baby, and they got rid of her. And I'm thinking, that should resonate, but here's Warren's flaw. She's intelligent. See, these white people want to be dumb. So when Stacey Abrams is telling them, if we give them $1, the federal government's going to give us 9 back and your hospital doesn't close, they can't hear that because she went to college. In other words, whiteness and dumbness is fused.
So do we have to fight the candidate?
Yes. Well, no. Reverend Barber, that's why I agree with you, is genius. Barber is as intelligent as any human being walking the planet. But the way he crafts his message, he can resonate because he doesn't come off like that. I don't know that a person who comes off as smart can ever convince these stupid white people.
Well, and you're right, because first of all, with Warren, they're going to say, well, you taught at Harvard.
Exactly.
And you see, but here's, again, perfect example, because you talk about, let me find it. You talk about how dumb works. Perfect example. So after you had the hearing yesterday, you had this fool from Texas. Damn, I hate he graduated from Texas A&M. I don't think he even graduated. Louis Gohmert.
Oh my God!
But I want to show. But I'll show you dumb. They had a news conference, and when it was over, Louis Gohmert came out there, and oh man, I'm trying to find it. He came out there and he says essentially, whatever y'all do, don't send your kids to Harvard or Yale. Every damn Republican who is on that Supreme Court,
come on, brother,
from Harvard or Yale.
That's right.
Then somebody on Twitter named all of the damn folks in Congress who Republicans who went to Harvard or Yale Law School. But again, so they play this, all these elitists, when they got the same elitists sitting over there, and Trump always touting how, you know, he got his Ivy Leagues from the Wharton School of Business, Penn, Ivy League.
My alma mater.
And he really did.
Right.
He did not get.
He bought that Wharton.
He did not.
It is. Hold up. Here it is. Again. This is playing to stupid. Go to my iPad.
So all I got to say is, if you love America, mamas, don't let your babies grow up to go to Harvard or Stanford Law School.
Wow. Right there. No, but to Greg's point, they are.
And Texas A&M is a major research university.
And not only that, Texas A&M
is an extremely conservative university.
Yes.
And I'm sitting there going, fool. But here's the deal. Them same, and here's the piece. Them same broke white people, I'm telling you, when they challenged the Hopwood decision, the reason, you know how the top 10% got passed in Texas?
Right.
The Black and Latino legislator.
Break it down, brother.
Y'all, I was there. Got with the white rural legislators who were upset because the white kids from rural Texas were not being accepted at the University of Texas or at Texas A&M, the two major institutions in Texas. So the Black and Latino legislators got with the broke rural white legislators and said, we're going to create the top 10 rules. So if your kid graduates in the top 10% of your high school class, regardless of the high school, you are automatically admitted to the state institutions. And guess what? It was the suburban legislators who went there and said, no, okay, we're getting too many kids, who changed this top 10% in Texas to limit it to the top, only like 50% of the class. Oh, so they changed it because what happened was Texas was saying, and we're losing too many of our bright students. No, it was saying we're losing too many of our bright white students.
Right.
Who were not in the top 10%, and their white parents were saying, well, my child goes to Austin Westlake, and which is more rigorous than O.D. Wyatt, the black high school in Fort Worth. Right. So it's unfair that the valedictorian and O.D. Wyatt automatically get admitted, but my kid doesn't, and that's how they got the rule changed. But the point is, the Black and Latino legislators went to the white folks and said, y'all kids ain't getting in either. That's the point I'm making.
Right.
You
we
gotta
have to find that common ground.
You got to go to them and say, you know y'all broke too.
That's right.
You know y'all hungry too. So that's why if I'm a Democrat, I ain't bringing no Black or Latino person impacted by SNAP. I'm going to roll up a whole bunch of broke, hungry white people. And I'm going to hold news conferences with them. I'm telling you, that's what you do. Because it's the same thing I've been, look, when affirmative action is always under attack, I put on when Random Chicago Defender, I put a white woman on the front page. I said, I need y'all to say something. Because every time affirmative action came under attack, it was black folks who was out front, Latinos right behind us, and the white women were off camera getting most of the contracts.
Exactly.
I'm like, no, bring your ass in front of the camera, stand right here and fight for this, because you're getting the most contracts. If you're going to be explicit in talking to us, damn it, be explicit in talking to them. That's right. And that's why I think where Democrats have failed. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. Fam, it's the holiday season. This is when you think about spending time with your family and friends. This is also when you count your blessings and support those less fortunate. This year, become a holiday hero and change someone's life forever. Right now, hundreds of thousands of Americans are sitting in jail without being convicted of a crime. Why? Because they can't pay their bail. Think about it. If you are arrested for any minor offense and you go to jail, if you don't have the money, you got to stay there until a court date is scheduled. That could be weeks, that could be days, weeks, or even months. Some black folks were there for years. Simply put, America's bail system is broken for people of color. Freedom should be free, folks. That's why the Ebony Foundation is partnered with the Bail Project and is sponsoring the Home by the Holiday campaign. The Bail Project has helped bail out thousands of people over the years, and with your help, they plan to bail out 1,000 people by New Year's Day. What they want you to do is make a donation anywhere from $25, $50 to $50 or more to do so. Now, of course, people of color represents anywhere from 50 to 90% of the jail population across the country. Now, check this out. Without bail, nearly 90% of those charged with misdemeanors plead guilty because they're trying to get out. However, when bail is paid, less than 2% receive a jail sentence. Sometimes justice just need us. If you want to donate, folks, and help the Ebony Foundation, go to homebytheholiday.com. That's homebytheholiday.com. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered. All right, folks, November 22nd, Gabrielle Union was announced that she was leaving as one of the judges on the hit NBC show, America's Got Talent. A few days later, the folks who produced the show, Fremantle, released a statement that's saying that they believe in diversity and inclusion, but also they always switch out judges to sort of refresh, if you will. Here's the problem. This show has been around like 15 years. Simon Cowell has never been switched out. Howie Mandel has been on the show a decade.
The only people who keep getting switched out are the women. Now, they announced that Gabrielle Union and Juliana Hough, they were actually going to be removed. Now, the show reportedly was paying Gabrielle Union $12 million a year. She had a 3-year contract, but it was a series of 1-year contracts. And so this all came about after she said, first of all, not in court, first of all, based upon sources, she has not publicly commented on the record, but sources say that she complained about getting excessive notes, that her and Huff, excessive notes from execs about their appearances, about their hair, that her changing hairstyles were too black, if you will. Also, there was a particular black act that was on the show that she felt was really worthy of it. But then she was told by producers that, well, America would really get behind another group a lot easier that they were white than this black act. And also, she complained about smoking by Simon Cowell. It's supposed to be illegal, smoking in buildings, but nobody wanted to tell Simon to stop smoking because it was his company. And she was like, damn, that smoke's coming down the hall. So these are all these allegations. She says also that Jay Leno told what she felt was a racially insensitive joke. They showed this picture of Simon and his 4 dogs, I think, and he said, wow, it looks like a photo outside of a Korean restaurant. She said that ticked off some of the staffers who were Asian on the show, and she said folks should go to HR to complain. According to various sources who's talked to Variety, The Hollywood Reporter, but also Huffington Post, they said that she encouraged folks to go to HR, but that Kyle was upset with her saying, don't go to HR, come to me with your issues. Yeah. All this has been going on. And what has happened is that other people have come to her aid. So, for instance, first of all, Huff is like, yo, I'm good. Nothing happened to me. Because she also has a couple of other shows she's working on for NBC. She's also going to be returning for another season of America's Got Talent, The Champions, which is going to premiere in January. And so all of these things that have been going on, and again, lots and lots of drama here. And so the statements that were also released, I thought were quite interesting. Because Fremantle released another statement. Fremantle is the company that produces America's Got Talent. I mean, y'all all remember this is the same show Nick Cannon left because he said NBC didn't like him telling a particular joke on his comedy special. So Fremantle released a statement on yesterday, November 26th, saying they take diversity seriously and they were getting with Gabrielle and her reps to better understand the issues that she raised. So let me deconstruct this, if you will. So you release a statement to say you were trying to get a better handle of what Gabrielle was stating. So that says to me 2 things. One, either she never said anything, or 2, somebody lying. Because see, if she had taken these complaints to somebody on the show or the NBC human HR department, human resources, there should be documentation. There should be notes. There should be a meeting. There should be evidence of these complaints. And if there's evidence of the complaints, then there has to be evidence that shows something was either done or what likely happened, because it involves the show of a huge talent in Simon Cowell. Remember, American Idol? They didn't want to go down that path. I reached out to somebody at NBC today, and I was told that they are hiring outside counsel. They're going to be meeting with Gabrielle and her lawyers to also better understand these issues. See, here's what I really think is going on here. I think what's really going on is that Gabrielle Union is not a compliant Negro. Let me say that again. She's not a compliant Negro. Now, I don't use that phrase all the time, but I'm using it within the context of this because what happens a lot of times in these mainstream media, largely white environments, black people are expected to be quiet and just shut up and take whatever is given. See, the reason this is so significant is because she was a popular judge. We're living in a world where social media and your metrics are judged by that. First of all, Simon doesn't tweet or post. Howie barely does. Gabrielle's numbers, her social media numbers, more than all the other judges combined. Her social media metrics, crazy. Her husband, Dwayne Wade, said, first of all, he said she was fired. He says that her presence was a large reason why a whole new audience began to watch the show because of the flavor she brought to the show. So as you begin to unpack these things, when you hear this whole issue about hair, remember, this is the same state that passed a bill signed into law by the governor that forbids hair discrimination, which would apply to this show and NBC and America's Got Talent. Why? Because the show was shot in Los Angeles. But the reason I say this is this whole notion of not being a compliant Negro is because Gabrielle was supposed to just shut up and move along. Just move along. Look, you got 12 million, just move along. She's like, oh, no, hell no. Because what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And what's fair is fair. And so by her making it clear what happened, it now is forcing a different conversation. Now, NBC has to get involved because it can't just be left in the hands of Fremantle, which produces America's Got Talent, because they're the network that airs it. They have rules and procedures. They have HR policies. And if she's a so-called whistleblower, what protections does she have? Now, some of y'all also might say, well, bro, why in the hell does this matter? This ain't affecting black people at large. But actually it is. Because see, what Gabrielle Union is dealing with is what black people are dealing with every single day in these companies. Whether they're engineering firms or law firms or other positions in corporate America, other media companies, they hear you are black inside of companies and you're having to be the compliant Negro, act a certain way, wear your hair a certain way because there's somebody white who's like, we don't really like those cornrows. We don't really like, the natural look. We really don't like that. No. That's why this matters. But see, here's the other thing that we have to also understand. $12 million a year. In 3 years, that means she can make $36 million just from this show. See, when we are limited economically, then we are also limited in being able to help our community economically. See, I remember when my term was up at CNN and I was asked by Mark Lamont Hill on Huffington Post Live. He said, hey, why do you think you never got a show? And I said, well, I really been thinking it's because you had white execs who really weren't comfortable with a black man giving his opinion on a news show. And I said then, we also want to make Wolf Blitzer and Anderson Cooper money. See, I know what it's like to be an opinionated person inside. And I had people who came to me, black people, who said, Roland, you really should, not breathe these things up. I think you're too militant. And this is what I said. I said, y'all, I could wait till I'm 75 or 80 and write a book and talk about what the experience was like 40, 50 years ago. I said, but somebody has to be willing to say it in the present and to change it in the present in order to impact the present and tomorrow. See, that's really, to me, what this is about. This is Gabrielle Union saying, I raised some fundamental issues on this show. Clearly, some people were not happy with me raising these issues, so they expected this little black girl from Omaha to just move along, take your 1-year check, and go on with your other shows and your movies and just be happy. And she says, nah, hell no. So now they got to deal with her and her lawyers. And now SAG-AFTRA, Screen Actors Guild, are launching their own investigation because she's a SAG-AFTRA member. And so what now was an internal thing is now becoming an external thing. Now you got white women. Now, you know when white women start saying stuff, oh, Lord, people pay attention. Deborah Messing, Will and Grace Starr, called out NBC saying, oh, y'all, this is the thing, they were protecting Matt Lauer, but now y'all dissing Gabrielle, standing with you. Ellen Pompeo on Grey's Anatomy saying, I'm standing with you, Gabrielle. Ariana Grande. But also was that they didn't realize all the black folks who was standing with Gabrielle Union. So now NBC has a much greater issue on their hand. And so I'm thankful that Gabrielle, someone who I know very well, who's a wonderful sister, not just a great actress, but just as a wonderful, kind-hearted sister who is taking a stand saying, no, this stuff has to be addressed. Because very few of us are in position to use our voice and not be canceled, and not be whiteballed, and not be denied opportunities. See, that's the other piece. Gabrielle has the advantage of being a successful actress, having her own clothing line, being married to retired star Dwayne Wade, that she ain't sitting here going, oh, Lord, where my next check coming from? That's why we got to have more people who have courage. See, I told y'all, I can't stand parking lot militants. I can't stand the people who, when they in the parking lot talking about what's going down and they ain't, and this wrong and this wrong and this wrong, yet when you go inside, they don't say nothing. You the only person speaking up. You the only person challenging people in the office. You're the only person questioning what's going on. That's why this matters. So absolutely, I stand with Gabrielle Union. I was texting her earlier, telling her, sister, we with you. Because what she is addressing is what black women are dealing with. Black women who are TV anchors, black women who are actresses, the crap that Viola Davis has had to deal with. All of these things, they're dealing with because now we're in a position where black folks have platforms, where we have now more of us in these places who can now amplify these stories, more of us who can put this on Front Street and don't have to apologize. So when execs like at NBC start getting emails from folks like me, they realize, they paying attention. When black people on Twitter are talking about these things. See, this thing goes, and I'm trying to help you out, goes way, way deeper than just what's happening with Gabrielle Union. We have this segment called Crazy Ass White People. And I had black people hit me up, man, why you call it that? Because it's some crazy ass white people. Because there are white people in America right now who are stopping black folks from leaving their buildings where they live. We're going to show y'all a video later. Black man delivering packages for UPS and the white woman challenging whether or not he actually works at UPS. Black people are having to deal with stuff that other folk aren't having to deal with. And so don't just assume that this is just one of those stories you can ignore and it's really no big deal. No, it goes much deeper than that. And that's why it's important. And that's why we want to talk about it. And that's why I had this commentary this morning, Tom Joyner Morning Show. And that's why we're discussing it now, because it matters. And Julian, again, if we dismiss this as just an entertainment story, we lose sight that this is literally happening to black women and black men in companies all across America where they want us to just shut up, take it, and go home, or lead a company and don't say nothing.
And conform. To conform. They have a look that they want. They have a just a metric. So they want us to conform. I really appreciate Gabrielle Union because she's really raising a lot of issues in terms of the intersection between race and gender. I really appreciate the fact, how does someone tell you your hair is too black? What is too black? I mean, that's an absurd statement. You're too black. Has anybody ever told somebody they were too white?
No.
So, the too black. You're right, Roland. This is economic discrimination. Sister was going to make 3 times what she made in the 1 year.
Right.
And she
a 3-year deal. That's $36 million.
She had a contract, but they let her go for some specious reasons, talking about, well, we mix it up all the time. No, you don't mix it up all the time.
First of all, you don't switch them off to 1 year. Come on.
And the other thing is a smoking issue. I mean, in California, you cannot smoke in the workplace.
Yeah, we in D.C. And look, I'm allergic to smoke. I worked at a radio station in Dallas, longtime DJ, Cousin Lenny. Man, he smoked like a smokestack, knocked me off the air for a whole week. I went to the general manager, like, say, player, either he gonna stop smoking or I ain't walking into that control room. It's a health issue.
It absolutely is.
But according to sources, that Simon, can't nobody tell Simon what to do. He all powerful, Simon Cowell. So just, girl, be quiet. Just let him smoke.
She has a mega lawsuit on her hands if she wants to do that, because the hair issue, the smoking issue, his behavior, the racist jokes. I mean, she has a lawsuit on her hands.
I'm going to play this video, Cleo, before I go to you. And Viola Davis, they had this discussion at the Paley Center. And they were talking about, and she was talking about, you know, how many pilots she worked on and failed shows, and how she wanted to play this character on How to Get Away with Murder. But it also is a peak, and she's talked about this before, in terms of what the reality is like for a black woman in Hollywood. I want y'all to listen to this. We're going to come back to Cleo on this one here.
I had decided never to do TV ever again after I did it. I've done 9 failed TV pilots.
Wow.
Really? Yeah. 9 failed TV. And the last one I did, I worked an average of 21-hour days. So I said, and I had to drive 53 miles one way to work, El Segundo Studio. So I was like, fuck no, I'm not doing that. But then Shonda called, and at first, you know, this #1 call sheet, so. Don't feel bad. It was not written for an African American specifically. So I think they went out to Diane Lane, Jennifer Connelly, and they wanted to screen test me. Not us. Not you. Not you, not Pete, not this extraordinary man right here who I love more than anything on the earth. But they wanted to screen test, the network wanted to screen test me, but my manager resisted, and I was a little resistant because I said sexualized, sociopathic. I mean, I'm used to wearing aprons and holding babies. But I remember I finally signed on after I spoke to, I don't know if you were on the phone, and Betsy Beers and Shonda Rhimes.
I was just saying, like,
yeah, because I said I want to be a real woman. Yeah. If I could be a real woman, if I don't have to walk around in heels, because I know y'all talk about me walking in my heels. And that's a little fucked up of y'all. But I said, but then and after that, I said yes, and it totally changed my life.
You also said one other thing.
Oh shit.
It was a very short call, which I love. It's like, oh, she's direct, she's efficient. Mm-hmm. You said you wanted to take off your wig.
Yep, because I said if I take off my wig, then you have to deal with that shit that you see underneath it. Then you have to write that, not write the, you know, the tight ass and, you know, the sex scenes or whatever. You have to write a real woman. And Pete said, oh yeah, we could do that. And so
I had no idea what it would mean.
This is the reality that black women got to deal with in Hollywood, but also beyond Hollywood.
I'm still getting used to the linguistic richness of being unfiltered, Roland.
Well, that's why the show called Unfiltered. Because in the words of Tyler Perry, I own this shit. Go ahead.
Well, there's a few things I want to mention. I'll be short. One is that I hope that Miss Union is inspiring other black people to come out of the white accommodationist closet and be black and real. Because not only does this hurt people's career, it hurt people psychologically. Even if they look successful to us, a lot of people under their skin are hurting because they didn't get to be black and be who they fully are because they're trying to keep a big paycheck. So I hope that she is inspiring other people to come on out and be real and use her as a role model. The other issue that I want to look at, though, is that a lot of people think that television is simply ran by ratings. And it's not always ran by ratings. This is an example of that. She brought a flavor to the show, as you mentioned. She brought an expanded audience, which means expanded money, supposedly, and expanded sponsors, but that she would not be an accommodator. They got rid of her anyway, which means, in theory, they're making a financial risk. But white power sometimes trumps, for lack of a better word, money. And some of us don't realize that. I think that's what happened with Arsenio Hall, that he stepped up on his own and did what he wanted to do. And white folks said, no, we can't have this. We have to cut this right now so other black people won't step up and think they can do what they want to do. And yes, this is an issue that has affected women for years who could not have their own hair. I know of several women who've quit the business of being on camera because they got tired of the humiliation. So again, I hope that she is a role model for everybody else.
The accommodationist part, Mustafa, is really important because the reality is this. White folks get to be white. They get to do white shit. They get to say white shit. Now, I know somebody saying, well, what is do white shit and say white shit? But the reality is, we have always had to temper. We've always had, we've got to change our attire, change what we say, change how we say it, all those things, because we have to make somebody else comfortable. Damn the fact that the audience sees it as one way. See, I've been there. See, all these black folks, I get a kick out of black folks today who turn on MSNBC, and when they see Joanne Reed and they see, turn over to CNN and see Angela Rye and see all these people. I remember when there were only two of us. And I remember the conversations when I got pulled aside. We need you to smile more because you're coming across as too angry. I said, look, if I smile anymore, it's going to be a damn minstrel show. That was a real conversation I had to have with somebody at CNN. When I was literally, they almost chastised me for thinking while black. Because we were in a meeting. And what happens is, like, if we're sitting here talking about some ideas, a lot of times when I'm visualizing, I'll be sitting here, I might be looking off, I have a look at my face, and they call me, that was really unsettling because you were angry. I was like, oh, hell no. I said, wait a minute. I was thinking while black. I said, we ain't having this damn conversation. That's literally what I said. And so folk don't know what other folks went through to make it easier for the folk today to do them. Exactly. And that's why this thing matters.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's hit some of the major points. Here's the other part. As we talk about on this show all the time, you got to own your own stuff. So then you don't have to deal with some of this foolishness. But that's just one side of the coin. Let's flip the other side of the coin over and let's realize the power that we actually have. And it was mentioned earlier about the sponsors. So folks should be reaching out to the sponsors who help to support this show and let them know what their feelings are about this, because that's where a lot of power is also. Yes, Simon Cowell has an incredible amount of power. Let's not get it twisted. We've seen how that plays out in Hollywood in relationship to women. But you also have power. So if you let those sponsors know this is not something that you are comfortable with and you will no longer purchase their products, it'll change some things.
Well, and I think that, and obviously, first of all, that's a strategy that's involved with that. I think what's going to happen is we'll see these meetings take place. There will be stories discussing this, what comes out of this. Because it's now public, they're going to actually have to publicly make some statements about what happened, how will things be fixed. But I just want people to understand that the reason we talk about a lot of these stories and bring attention to them, and even this is the case of an actress, folks have to understand that, and this is and people don't, if you've never been in a situation, you don't understand it. I mean, I remember there were times when other people who had lower profiles at CNN couldn't say nothing. But I could. And see, I could have easily been like some folk, like, that ain't my problem. But no, because see, there's responsibility that comes when you have power, when you have influence, when you have stature, when you're able to bring that to the table. And that's why I think it's wasted opportunity if you're African American and you're working at an ESPN or Fox Sports or CBS or an ABC or an NBC or Fox or any of these media companies, or if you're working at a law firm or you're working at a major corporation, and you actually have the ability to shift a dialogue or move a conversation or call some folks out because you've amassed this level of credibility and power, and you don't do a damn thing with it. That, to me, is what's also shameful, because it's not just about you. It is about who's walking through that door next.
But let me add this.
Hold on, Mustafa.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to come back to Cleo, then Julian.
So you did some incredible reporting and a story that you did with Byron Allen not too long ago. And all those dynamics, it's about power and how it plays out. So we're seeing this happen in a number of different situations. And we're also seeing people step up and live out their values. And that's what Gabrielle is doing.
Cleo.
I think it's important to reiterate that people are stepping up, and again, to affirm Gabrielle Union for what she's doing. But one thing I think is important to reiterate is that one of the things that gives white people the balls or the ovaries or whatever to tell black people that they're too black is accommodating black people.
Yes.
There's a culture after so many centuries of normalized apologizing for being black in the presence of white people. I have been to so many meetings where the people who are the most crazy toward me and the most reactionary to me are black people who are looking around, waiting to take care and save white folks.
Do you understand
that needs to be put up there as an issue that is primary for black people to unlearn and dismantle?
One of the black folks came to me when I was at CNN, and one of the highest ranking blacks when I was at CNN had a conversation with another black person and said that there are good blacks and bad blacks.
Yep.
And this brother was black. And this brother told this person that Don Lemon was a good black. How he dressed and how he talked.
He is.
And then he said, Roland Martin's a bad black because he's too loud and he's too aggressive and how he dresses. And this same individual, and the whole time he was there, black, would never meet with me one-on-one. I could send an email to the worldwide CEO, Jim Walton. Matter of fact, I ain't got a say problem. Jim Walton, I could send an email to him and say, Jim, I'm coming to Atlanta. Can we meet? Roland, hit my secretary. I could get a one-on-one meeting with the worldwide CEO, but the highest ranking black man would not meet with me one-on-one. I would say, well, I'm coming to New York. His office was across the office from another EVP. I could meet with that EVP, he across the hall. I said, when you come to D.C., would never meet with me one-on-one.
Well, see, the problem with this, Roland, is that many of these folks in these positions have leveraged their blackness to get these positions. Right. The whole, affirmative action, et cetera, companies are looking for diverse candidates. Right. But many of these, everybody brown ain't down. So you look at these diverse candidates who say nothing. John Rogers, Ariel Capital Management, gave a speech in Chicago at Rainbow Push one time, and he's talked about black board of directors members. And he said, you're not on the board to make money and to basically enrich yourself.
It's all about you.
You're on the board to change policy. But many of folks get in there and they get real quiet. They just can't do it. And this is just internalizing racism. And these are powerful black people. They're making 7 figures. They have access to all kinds of things, and they just won't say anything. And we need to begin to call those people out and say, what's up? Because if we don't call them out, they will continue to pimp black people, for access, but not to give back to black people in terms of process.
But we also need to look at our own behavioral and traumatizing treatment of people. I'm talking about black people now. Because sometimes when we get mad at somebody who's dealing with a internalized white supremacy relapse issue, we get mad at them and attack them and never look at the larger system that creates this kind of mentality. It's not natural to second guess your worth and give somebody else privilege. That's a mental side effect of intergenerational oppression unresolved. And unfortunately, in so many cases, when we get mad at black people for acting like that, we jump on them and we can be very mean, and we just re-traumatize them instead of looking at them from a perspective of cause and effect and deflecting that self-hate. I've seen it too much.
Go ahead.
We just need to utilize our power. We need to stop just allowing systems to be the systems that have always been the systems. And I actually believe we can make change happen. We saw it a little bit in Hollywood when folks began to speak out about, you know, the Academy Awards and some of the other things. And it was just a small step. A little bit. But people began to engage in that process. I think this is the exact same thing where we've got to make sure that we're hitting on all levels. You're going to get, you know, you got to hit on the legal aspect. You got to hold people accountable on the legal side. But we also got to utilize our dollars more effectively.
Yep.
You
So
know,
we'll
Roland,
see
one
what
of the
happens. We're going to stay on top of this. And then we'll give you more updates as they become available. But yeah, we stand with Gabrielle Union. All right, folks, y'all know what time it is.
Girl, no charcoal girls are allowed.
I'm white. I got you, Pearl. Yeah, illegally selling water without a permit
On my property.
Whoa! Hey! Give me your
You don't live here.
I'm uncomfortable.
Okay. Black man trying to do his job, delivering some packages. He works for UPS. And this crazy-ass white woman had to roll up on him.
Give me somebody's information to check up on you, because I don't understand why you're walking around this neighborhood.
This is crazy.
With a bunch of packages.
This is what I be talking about.
Dolly.
These folks be bothering me like.
I'm not bothering you.
So
I want to complain to UPS that you're looking very suspicious and making me nervous.
What?
I live in this home.
I'm making you nervous?
Yes, absolutely. Because
This is crazy.
You absolutely are making me nervous.
This is crazy.
Because, no, let me tell you why. You know why?
Tell me why.
My car has already been broken into twice. Yeah. And guess what? Yeah. It's a really big thing in this neighborhood for people to walk down the street for vandalism.
Yeah.
So,
I don't even live over here, lady. I'm not giving you shit.
I need you to give me your name.
I'm not giving you shit.
Then we're going to stand here for a while, aren't we?
Man, stand my ass.
Then I'll be following you until I get
Damn, this lady is crazy, yo.
Like I said, you look very suspicious. I'm trying to tell you.
Man,
you need to at least be able to tell people who you work for.
Man, I have jacket on. She's smoking crack.
And we'll talk to the driver this route. Is the person I need to talk to them about.
Lady, you smoking good crack.
Well, you might need to be.
What the fuck?
If you don't think you look suspicious, you are on crack as well, my son.
Wow, that's crazy. This lady is taking pictures of me and recording me like it's already tripping. Like, I work for UPS. This shit crazy, man. See how these folks do me out here, Shaw. That shit crazy. This lady is crazy. Wow.
No.
That's crazy.
Just let me know that, and he was just being a jerk.
Call the police?
Yeah.
Damn, Michael. And it took the white UPS driver to vouch for the brother.
That's crazy. And one thing, they didn't take your tip. They didn't turn their phone sideways. You know, you got to have the phone sideways.
I know, man. I know. They keep killing me with that. Go ahead.
I mean, what are you going to say? It's just, Julie and I were just talking, and the professor, we're wondering if, no excuse, but we're wondering if she was a little bit on the sauce and a little drunk, and because the way she was smiling, her body language. Again, no excuse for how she acted. But she's, remember you like to check to see if people lose their jobs when they do stupid stuff like this? Have you checked?
Still waiting to find out. And Dr. Carr, that's the real deal here. And I know there are people out there who are saying, man, you shouldn't show these things as triggering for black people. No. The reason we keep showing these because I want people to understand these are not one-offs. Right. This is not, oh, well, that one thing. No. What this is in this age of Trump, This is a consistent harassment of black people. That people can't say, oh, that stuff was so far back during the Jim Crow days and slavery. No, this is 2019.
Yes. Well, I mean, look, what it basically says is there's nothing you can do and there's nowhere you can go if you are black. You can't be in your house, right? Because we've seen police come in people's houses and shoot at, harass, and arrest. You can't be in your car, right? You can't sell water on the street, right? You can't ride the train. There's basically nowhere you can go as a black person unmolested by some white person if they feel bothered, right? And if they wanted to, and I'm sure she probably would have, treated the police as her own personal bouncers and removed this man from her street for doing his job, right? Because she felt threatened, which is always, I think, the curious thing that comes up is they always feel threatened, yet they want to come confront somebody. If you feel threatened, you don't go up to the person that you actually think is doing some mischief or might cause you some harm. Yet they always seem to end up in somebody's face and on somebody's camera and now broadcast around the world, right? But this is what white supremacy does, right? This is what white racism does. It blinds people to facts, right? But not only blinds it, it tries to become their cover for doing what they wanted to do anyway, which is simply harass this man and ask him questions that she had no right to ask him. And he told her exactly what she needed to hear, which is, I'm not giving you anything and you can get out my face. That's what she's really mad about, actually.
Julian, Dr. Carter's point, black folks, we can't barbecue, we can't sell lemonade, we can't park our car, we can't deliver packages, we can't leave our own buildings because you got these racist white folks out here who believe that they have the absolute right to check our papers.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. I hope and pray it doesn't go left, but I think it's gonna take the right white person to run up on the wrong black person, and they're gonna get their ass whooped, and it's gonna be on camera, and it's gonna go viral and send a message out. Like right now, everybody's put on notice. Keep doing it. We showing, we putting you on blast. We calling you out. At some point in time, the right people gonna meet the wrong people, and it's gonna go bad for somebody. And it's going to get to a point where black people are going to get tired of being harassed for doing simple things like taking our trash out, doing simple stuff like our job. This man is delivering packages. He's not peeping in nobody's window. He is actually trying to do his job, what he's paid to do, but he can't do it because he's being harassed for the simple fact of the color of his skin. Yep. And it shouldn't have took a Caucasian gentleman, his co-worker, to come up for her to say, oh, you work for UPS, my bad. That's all you had to say. I didn't know that.
Wasn't a tip-off. The truck wasn't a tip-off.
Right, the truck, all the boxes, the uniform, the ID, the packages.
Context clues,
you know, give me the packages and I'm like, no. Like I was telling them, I'm like, maybe she had drunk some wine and ran out and, you know, maybe she got mad because she didn't want to leave the house and go get wine and was like, okay, let me go harass this person. I don't know what it is. It's just crazy. And it needs to stop. No. It needs to stop.
No. I know what it is. I know what it is. He was black, she's white, and she felt she had superiority over him.
You know
what? Story.
We should flip the script. We should flip the script. Instead of white people harassing blacks, why don't we start harassing whites just so they can see how it feels and just walk up and say, hey, what are you doing?
That's how we get killed.
Exactly.
Hell, you know damn well when the cops roll up, we gonna be the first one get shot.
Mm-hmm. Especially doing the stuff.
We know that deal.
Oh yeah.
You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
Hey everybody, this is Sherry Shepherd. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered, and while he's doing Unfiltered, I'm practicing the wobble. Yes, I am. Because Roland Martin's the one, he will do it backwards, he will do it on the side. He messes everybody up when he gets into the wobble, because he doesn't know how to do it, so he does it backwards. And it messes me up every single time. So I'm working on it. I got it. You got Roland Martin.
Hi, my name is LaToya Luckett, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Mac Wiles, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What's up, y'all? It's Ryan Destiny, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What up, Lana Well, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered, the blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play.